you curious about how to get into instructional design and freelancing? Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you my no holds barred, all of my true feelings and advice on how to break into this industry. Hey friends, my name is Vanessa Alzate, the founder and CEO of Anchor Training, and on this channel we help aspiring instructional designers and e-learning developers get off of the sidelines and get into the L&D game. Let's talk about what I would do if I had to start freelancing all over again. And I'm going to link a video up here that gives you a little bit more of a background of my journey into instructional design. Here are my true confessions on what I would do to get started. First things first, I would have had more of a direction sooner. I feel like when I started instructional design freelancing, I kind of just like whatever happened. And I think because I had a full-time job, I never really thought of freelancing as like a thing I would do. Owning a business was not something that I ever thought was going to be for me. I just didn't plan for it. I didn't really think about it. I didn't think that this was really truly a possibility. I made a lot of decisions just kind of like the situation happened, or like, you know, the opportunity presented itself and I took that opportunity. And then over time, things kind of snowballed from there. I started freelancing in 2011 and then got out, like just did this full-time 2018. So it was like 7 years of working full-time and freelancing full-time. Yeah, I would say like maybe 2013 it started kind of like picking up. If I had to go back, I would focus on these few things and having them like super tight. First things first, my resume, and really looking at what I am putting on my resume and how does that relate to a potential client that's looking to hire me, right? So some of my bullets might look a little bit different, or the way that I word things or what I brought up to the top might look differently. Like there is a resume out there for a full-time job and then a resume for like freelance work. And when you're looking at freelance work, what you are looking at, what a buyer of a freelancer is looking at is, you know, your communication, the ability to manage a project, the ability to deliver on time and on budget, the ability to think outside the box. Like those are the things that I would have highlighted more on my resume, and I wouldn't have like used the same one for both roles, right? So if I was applying to a full-time job or like a freelance gig, I ended up sending the same resume, and I would curate that a little bit differently if I did that again in the future. The second thing I would focus on is working on 3 amazing portfolio pieces. I was pulling from what I had, and I was pulling from what I knew I could use when I was developing my portfolio. Like I had a bunch of portfolio pieces, but they were all different lengths and they weren't like on a centralized like portfolio site. And if I had to go back, I would have made like my own site, even if it was just a couple of pages, and put them there. So that way it was like a one-stop shop, and it would have given me the opportunity to talk more about myself, showcase more of who I was in my portfolio, so that it could possibly like pull on, make a connection with the potential client. I find that if your portfolio pieces, if there's so many of them and they're all just kind of like repetitive, just not truly what I believe could be your best work, it's not going to call the attention of the hiring manager or the potential client. I think if I could go back and redo this all over again, that's what I would really focus on. And I am certain I would have gotten called back and hired from so many different organizations if I actually put a little bit more intention behind my portfolio pieces. I find that when we just like scramble to get it on there, it kind of shows. With some intentionality, I think you could make a really good portfolio. And just know it's like 3 pieces, 3 to 5 slides. Does not need to be a very huge lift or a very huge piece in order to be considered a piece for your portfolio. The next thing that I would focus on would be building my network. So I was so busy working full-time and freelancing that I never really paid so much attention to LinkedIn. Like it was uncomfortable for me, like meet people at networking events. So I just kind of retreat to the people that I knew and my friends. And I would also like, I was doing volunteer stuff and I was just busy. So I didn't pay attention and didn't know the value in building my network because I thought I had an amazing network, and I did have an amazing network. But when I actually now look at the network that I have and how vast it is and how large it is and how diverse it is, I wish I had that back then, because I would have looked at things differently. My opportunities that I applied to probably would have been different. I just think my career would have maybe taken a different direction, and I maybe would have left the full-time world sooner than I did because I had that opportunity and I had that network to help support me and to help encourage me. I would have focused more on meeting more people, going to more conferences, taking maybe like a certificate program to help me with my next point, which I'll make in just a moment, and making sure I'm keeping up to date with the latest trends, the latest research out there on, you know, utilizing tools like LinkedIn and things like that. I know that it's hard to get on social media, especially when you're so busy and you have so many things that are pulling at you. But if you take my recommendation of like 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon, 15 minutes, you know, like 5 o'clock before the end of the day, you can really get a lot out of it. Make sure you're connecting with other peers, you're commenting on their stuff, you're providing value, and you're saving, you know, articles of interest and all of those things. And when you focus more on creating relationships, building relationships, and just because you want to truly build a connection with someone, so much better. Everything becomes so much better and so much clearer. The next thing I would focus on would be my mindset and my imposter syndrome. I spent a lot of years feeling really bad about my work and really bad about myself. When you sit back and you really think of like an instructional designer and what they could be, all of the hats that they need to wear, it's a lot for one person, right? An amazing writer, an amazing strategist, engaging in a classroom, able to be the best visual artist to develop the best e-learning and to be able to create these custom e-learns. That's a lot for one person. That is a whole bunch of people's time and a whole bunch of people's roles. And you have to add that they have to manage projects, you know, navigate knowing other people and navigate their, like what the politics are, you know, drink your 100 ounces of water a day, make sure you're keeping up to date with your text messages on your phone and your friends and your family. Like, it's a lot for one person. And truly, it's not possible. And once you start peeling back and you actually see people's work, you're like, okay, I don't have to be perfect and I don't have to be the best of the best. And I can hire out or pass over and rely on the strengths of my team members in certain areas. So if you have a team of 3 and someone's really much better in the storyline and the graphics and the visuals piece, someone is much better at building the strategy, and someone else is really good at like writing and pulling together storyboards, that is how you need to be scheduling your team. That is how you need to be pulling them together. People think that they go faster when everyone, like those 3 people are on 3 different projects. However, if those 3 people are on all of those 3 projects and they're just focusing on their one task, they're actually more productive and you can get things done faster. Why? They're working in their zone of genius. They are working on things that they actually love to do and they are not task switching. So I'm not going from writing to graphic design to developing a strategy all in one day. I am literally just going from different subject matter to different subject matter, which is an easier shift in my mental load to actually like switch the task and do something else. No one is perfect. No one is amazing. Even the biggest of the best gurus that you think like that everyone follows and everyone touts as like so amazing. Yeah, they're really amazing. It took them a lot of work also to get there. Okay. And you can also too be that amazing. And you have a lot to offer. Your role in this world might just look a little bit different than theirs, and that's okay. And no one is out there putting out there like all of their struggles, all the things that they had to battle in order to get there, as well as all of the missteps that they take on a day-to-day basis. They're just putting their highlight reels. Take that imposter syndrome, say, thank you so much for trying to keep me safe and wanting to, you know, not make me feel like embarrassed or ashamed of myself. However, I'm going to push myself and I am going to work within my zone of genius and work within my strengths and stop feeling so friggin' bad about myself. I spent a lot of years feeling bad about myself because I wasn't amazing at like visual design and graphic design. And then I was like, well, F that. I can just hire that out or I can bring in someone else and then our products can be better. And you want to know what happened when I stopped feeling bad about myself? My income increased because I was actually then working in my zone of genius, even though I was hiring out for that work that I was not doing. Just know that when you can take that moment, take that imposter syndrome and say, peace girl, like I'm done. I need to put you to the side and I need to recognize the story that's being told to me and like reset my mindset. The whole world, it just changes and you start to see the game differently and you start to see your career differently and you start to be more real like with yourself. I have a video, I will link it above, about how I deal with imposter syndrome, which I deal with still to this day a lot of. That never goes away, and I think once you make that realization, it's definitely a lot better. Figure out ways to cope with it, but it's okay that you have that imposter syndrome and you don't need to always feel so bad about yourself. The next thing that I would focus on is building my personal brand. And I know for a lot of people, when they hear the word brand, they think of marketing, they think of colors, they think of logos, but I don't mean that at all. I just mean showing up true to myself and really showing people, like, when I leave a room, this is how I want you to be talking about me, right? This is what I want you to remember me by. Because here is the thing about a personal brand and becoming well known, even if you're an internal practitioner. When someone leaves an organization, they go somewhere else, and you were like the bomb.com of instructional designers and really help the organizations like save money or, you know, whatever it is that you're known for. When that person leaves and they go somewhere else and they have that same issue or they have that same problem, you want to know what they do? They say, I actually know someone that would be amazing for this role or amazing to support us, and she helped me at my last organization, and here are the things that she did. And guess what? Statistically, you are more likely to get that job or to get that client with a lot less work than if you were going in cold. It just, warm leads or hot leads are a lot easier to close than a cold lead. Having that personal brand can help to do that for you. And if you ever decide to go out on your own, right, and to freelance or to consult, it is a lot easier to bring in more clients if you are well known. There is a saying out there that the riches are in the niches, although I hate the word niche, niches, so riches are in the niches, but that doesn't rhyme. And that is a fact, right? Like, the more well-known you are for something, the more profitable you will end up being in the future. Does that mean that everyone needs to go and like niche down immediately? Absolutely not, and not when you are starting out. However, I am more concerned about your personal brand and how people remember you when you walk out of that room. They remember you as a hard worker, an amazing instructional designer, or an amazing strategist, then you are more likely to get continued work. And when you leave and you reach out to them, you are more likely to have them pull you into a project or pull you into like the organization, you know, if you were to ever go out on your own and reach out. So I always find that building a personal brand is one of the most crucial things to do, not even before you're figuring out whether or not you want to freelance, but like as soon as you step foot into your first job. And your personal brand, remember, also extends beyond work and just like how you are as a freaking human. So just remember, like, those are all like the different facets of personal branding. But yeah, I would definitely really think about, be intentional about your personal brand. And the next thing I would do is focus on community and not competition. And I think that naturally our mindset goes to competition. You know, who is a competitor of who, and like that's just how we are raised, right? That's kind of how we're indoctrinated. We think of, you know, this brand versus this brand, and this program competing for your attention versus that TV program, and like all of these things. But in all actuality, there is enough in this world for everyone to get what they want. And when you focus on community and rising up the community together as opposed to competition, you earn more and you end up in a better place. Your mindset shifts into a better place. The work that you do is just a lot better and a lot more enjoyable to do. When you're constantly in a mode of like fight and compete, and like I think of like the Roman Colosseum and like us battling for a project like over each other, no one actually truly wins, because you don't actually want to be there. You don't want to be in a place where you're focused on competing all the time. You don't want to be in a place where you're like constantly heightened and constantly like cortisol levels like up to here. Instead, you want to be in a place of community where you're providing value. You're providing value to clients, potential clients, to your LinkedIn community. You're providing value to your colleagues, and you're learning and sharing amongst each other. There's a lot of questions I have had over the years as I've been building my business, as I've been building my freelance business, that I stumbled for a really long time because I didn't have a community and I did not understand the value that a community could have and the right people being in that community. However, once I did find the right people for my community, my business has doubled. And that's not just the only reason. I think, you know, there's other reasons our business doubled, but the fact is that I was able to slow down on mistakes I was making and make better choices based on the experience of others in order to get to my next result or my next level faster. And here's the thing. I think a lot of people, like if you look at Dr. Nicole Lugera-Papiano Dr. Nicole Papiano-Lugera, sorry, Nicole, and I, on the surface, we look like competitors. but we're constantly texting each other about what we're doing, about, you know, what we're achieving, giving each other insights, providing each other strategies, lessons learned. Here is how I would look at that deal. Here's how I would look at that statement of work, and this is where my lens goes. Or I got on the phone with Dr. Robin Sargent and she provided me information. If you go into this sector and into this industry, here are the considerations that you are going to have to make. On the surface, it looks like she was just feeding and training her competitor on something. But that's not what it is, because there's enough work out there for everyone. And what happens is when the three of us, or when our community rises up, we rise together. And the piece of the pie is actually bigger because we can all take from it, right? The pie just gets bigger, pieces don't get smaller. So if I were you, I would work on finding your people. Find the people that are going to help give you that advice. Find the people that are going to help give you that like real kick in the pants. Like there's decisions that I'm going to make that they're like, you know what, I don't think that's a good idea, and here are all the reasons why. Or like, why wouldn't you want to do that? Why wouldn't you do this? Or I see you doing this, because you can't always, you have blinders, you have bias, like you can't always see ahead for yourself as well as sometimes other people can see for you. If you focus on finding those people and finding people that are going to be like real deal, like not call you out, but like call you in and just be like, you know what? I think that you can do this and you have the power to do that and you are a badass. These are all of the considerations I want you to make, and these are all the things that I want you to think about. But go ahead and try it. Go and do it. And here's what I learned when I did the same thing. All rise together. And if you're looking for more of that community, I want you to click the link down below to join the Anchored ID Collective, because that's exactly why I built it. I got tired of not having a place to go. I got tired of not seeing the right place for instructional designers to go who want to manifest more, who want to operate at a higher level, that wants to manifest abundance and raise yourself above, right? And start to really call in the true wealth and the true career of your dreams and your career of your desires. And listen, wealth for everybody is going to look different, and it's not a place for, you don't have to be on a path to own an agency in order to be part of it. You never know, you might somehow end up on the path to own an agency, so you just ended up in the community with people who also have agencies that are, doing similar things and that can help and support you along the way. So the link for that is down below, and if you want to know more information about the collective, feel free to DM me at any time. And if you want more of my confessions about instructional design and learning and development on all of my spicy takes, I want you to watch this next video where I really break down all of my confessions as an instructional designer. Friends, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!